USDA to purchase more food for the food banks. The USDA announces another $470 million in purchases for food banks. This is out of an article from the UPI by Jesse Higgins, written today, May 6th, 2020. So people are lining up to receive bags of food from the San Francisco Marin Food Bank in the parking lot of the Cow Palace in Daly City, California on April 17th. Okay. Evansville, Indiana, May 6th, UPI. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has announced a plan to purchase more food from struggling farmers and distribute it to food banks. Some $470 million this time. The purchases announced this week will come in addition to the $3 billion the USDA pledged to buy farm products as part of the coronavirus food assistance program that was announced on April 17th. While across the country's farmers welcomed the news, they were quick to warn that even when combined with the other aid programs, this won't be enough to save the rapidly declining industries. This is like a down payment, said Cam Corlez, CEO of the National Potato Council, a Washington, D.C. based trade group. Clearly more is going to be needed. The USDA intends to use this latest $470 million more than a dozen. Wait a minute here. The USDA intends to use this latest $470 million on more than a dozen specific commodities, including potatoes. Other items include asparagus, chicken, dairy, various types of fish, orange juice, pears, pork, prunes, raisins, strawberries, sweet potatoes, tart cherries, and turkey. Many of these items have had their markets suddenly disappear during the coronavirus as a result of the closure of restaurants, schools, and other food service providers. 60% of the potato industry went to food service, Corlez said, when that market slammed shut basically overnight. The supply chain for the potato industry started to back up, and now we're dealing with a huge oversupply. If you're oversupplied, I don't understand why it is that farmers are destroying their crops instead of giving it away to people. That makes literally no sense. If you're oversupplied and you're destroying your crops, you deserve any bad karma that comes your way, frankly. But more than $1 billion worth of potatoes are sitting in processing plants and in farm storage with nowhere to go, and the backup keeps growing. The latest why don't you just drive it to the freaking food banks instead of making the government fork out the taxpayers' money for food that already exists? If it's rotting and you're going to throw it away anyways, give the oversupply to the food banks and shelters and homeless people sleeping on the street. I mean, what is wrong with you? Other farming industries are experiencing similar distress from the sudden loss of food service. Across the country, dairy farmers are dumping milk once bound for school children, while fresh produce growers are tilling vegetables no longer needed by restaurants. No longer needed by restaurants into the soil, and livestock producers are euthanizing animals they can't sell for slaughter. And you wonder why you're failing. Anything else or anything helps, said Donovan Johnson, president of the Minnesota-based Northern Plains Potato Growers Association. We're grateful for anything that could relieve the catastrophic damage that's going on, but this is total devastation. Okay, so I guess that's the end of that article. It sounds more like some kind of weird scam. I don't know how that would work, but if the food shelves look like this, then what's the problem? The dairy section is pretty low on supplies. Why would you throw it away instead of sending it out to people to use? If you don't have anybody to process it, guess what? There was a time where we processed our own stuff, or where the dairy farmers actually processed the milk and then brought it to the people's doors. You could even do that. This is just insane. We have hardly any food on these shelves. You're slaughtering animals for no good reason. These animals give you the ability to eat. They're a gift, and you're treating them like garbage. Just, wow. People are so desperate to push their own ideology that they will terrorize the animals. They will let people starve. They will release viruses on people and make the whole world sick. Something has to be done about this. This can't just be allowed to go on. Look at the shelves. I mean, this is just insane. There's no reason to be throwing food away. And if there is an oversupply, why is the government having to fork out $3.5 billion in aid money? Where's the money going? If you've got too much food, then you could be giving that away, and you could be using the money for your own personal aid. I don't know. Whatever. Something shady something isn't adding up here. There's no reason why they should have an oversupply of food, be turning crops and dumping truckloads of milk. That literally makes no sense when there's starving people all over the world, people lining up at food banks, and you're begging for money to buy food. What the hell?